So what to do? Comes Aristotle, very quickly, now you have the basis, okay? And he says two things. Matter and form are inseparable with each other, and he tries to solve the problem. I'm not going to go into Aristotelian logic because it's a nightmare, but suffices to say that his solution to the problem also didn't work, because he says, he made amazing things in his physics about the inseparability of form and matter and everything, but then he realized that everything has to have an essence, according to his system of logic and then he says, so what is the essence? And he gives the famous logical formula, everything is defined in terms of the genre plus differentia equals species. So the very famous example, a human is a rational animal. That's probably the most famous definition of the human being in human history. It comes from Aristotle. The human is a rational animal. So we belong to the genus Animalia, the kingdom Animalia, and what distinguishes us from monkeys and giraffes and all of the other, not the fact that we are mammals, because there are other mammals, but the fact that we have reason. But of course, this is a man who said, Plato was wrong, and he told him in his face, you are a great friend, but truth is a greater friend, and I'm going to leave you and go and found a new school that is realistic and will take into account the nature as we experience it materially. But then when he tried to define the essence of those beings, boom, he went to forms again. Because every one of us is a rational animal. So if you tell me my essence is a rational animal, and your essence is a rational animal, and you try to use that essence to build sciences, and build insights about society and history and politics, you are essentially going to the Platonic problem. You haven't done anything. Is everyone following me? So that's on a general, but let's go to politics, the application of this to politics, because it's quite amazing. Let's go to politics, the application of this to politics, because it's quite amazing. Aristotle was still struggling. He wants to get out of the philosopher-king. So what do? He says that he does two moves, which is very interesting. In the beginning, book 3 and 4 of the Politics, he says, okay, let's distinguish between the perfect citizen and the perfect human. And that was the problem of Plato. Okay, that was the failure of Plato in his political philosophy. And then he said, he realizes but he realizes that there has to be some norm to refer to. Otherwise, you are doomed to the barbarism that Plato associated with democracy. Because democracy really for Plato is the life of the barbaros. Okay? Because you don't have a higher truth. Barbaros is the noun for the barbarian in Greek. Okay? You don't have a truth. There is nothing higher. Okay? So the only way in which to save that Aristotle thought of was a very interesting idea, and one of the most brilliant commentators on this notion was Leo Strauss. If anyone here is familiar with his work, a very famous political philosopher, though we should not be very positive about him because he was actually responsible for the hawks. Remember the war in Iraq? Okay, all of the hawks of Washington were direct students of Mr. Strauss. And he's an old, cold warrior. He's deeply conservative. But he was also a brilliant political philosopher from the last golden age of Germany. Germany was really the kitchen in which all of the great ideas of the 19th and 20th century were cooked. I'm very biased towards the Germans. They were really the greatest minds in Europe, okay? Politically and scientifically and socially. So he came and he became a professor at the University of Chicago, but he had all of those crazy concepts. But he got many things very insightful. And what he says, Aristotle suggested as a solution is the idea of what he calls a civil theology. Why did he call it a theology? Because theology has the idea of the absolute. He was not interested in religions at all, but at least there is the semblance of the idea of an absolute in religion. But why, again, also religion? Because religion is cute. It's nice. It attracts the commons. It's not like philosophy. Philosophy is dry and repels people because of its dry and logical language, and people do not like it. Okay? But people can go and sit and listen to someone telling them about heaven and hell and beautiful things happening after death and all of these things. Okay? Religion is nice. Okay? So actually, Strauss's reading of religion is very instrumental and I would say negative, and he imposed it on many Muslim thinkers because he has a whole book on Al-Farabi, which I think is completely wrong with all due respect. But this is how he interpreted the notion of prudence. He says prudence for Aristotle is civil theology. In other words, Aristotle thought that there has to be, to put things in focus, a middle way between the transcendent and eminent in order for the rational sovereign to rule his people and direct them properly. Everyone following me so far? Things are good? Good. So what happens with modern philosophy?